Step 3 of outlining your presentation. Okay, so here we are. We have considered our purpose. We know who we're talking to. We have our evidence gathered up. We've decided how we're going to organize our evidence into main points. But here is where we are going to really develop our main points so that they can stand for themselves and they also support our purpose or our thesis statement. So let's go back to my presentation and talk about some characteristics of main points. So some of the things that we need to think about when we're and planning our speech is that 2 to 3 main points is enough. Your audience has a limited attention span. They will not follow you through 17 different reasons that you should own a bakery. They're not going to. And your main points should be of about equal importance. So they should have the same degree of impact on the audience. Your subpoints should fit within the larger main idea of the main point. Many of you might find it easiest to think about this in terms of your 5-paragraph essay, where each paragraph has a purpose and each paragraph has a topic sentence and then the rest of the paragraph supports the topic sentence. In many ways, that's how you can think of a main point, as a single paragraph within that 5-paragraph essay. Your subpoints should be of equal importance, and each subpoint should directly support the main point. Now, it seems obvious, doesn't it, that everything you say will support the main point, but a lot of times we get so flustered trying to put presentations together that we throw in information. Yeah, this sounds good, I'll use that. And we don't really consider whether it actually does support our main point in our thesis or not. So that's something to keep in mind. And then each main point should have at least 2 subpoints. So, and we'll get into the subpoints in just a little bit, but if you don't have enough information to support your main point with at least 2 subpoints, then you don't really have a main point. What you probably need to do is fold that into another part of the speech or get yourself some more information so that you have a fully developed main point. So, in terms of the main points, they should also relate to and support your thesis statement. And everything needs to support your thesis statement. Make sure your main points don't overlap. They don't contain the same kind of information. All right, so having considered those things, let's talk about how you develop each main point. So you have your information, you know how you're going to organize it. Now we have to sit down and put it together. And each main point is an argument. And I want you to be careful here because you're thinking of an argument like you screaming at your roommate or your ex-roommate because they never cleaned up the kitchen. That's not really the argument we're talking about here. When I talk about making an argument, I talk about the way in which you structure the information so that it has a logical conclusion as you work through the information. And even in an informative speech, you are going to make an argument. One definition of an argument would be giving reasons or citing evidence in support of an idea to get others to agree with you. Now, when you have made arguments in the past, a lot of times it probably was to conquer the other person, but we want people to agree with us. So we are going to think about argumentation in a different way. Arguments consist of at least 3 elements, and you must have all of these elements in each of your main points. The first element is a major claim. There has to be a claim that you are supporting. You need to give us reasons to believe that claim, and then you need to provide evidence to support the reasons. Those are 3 elements that must be in an argument. And if you think about arguments that you've had, even those screaming ones with your ex-roommate, I mean, really you were trying to demonstrate your major claim, reasons to believe the claim, and evidence to support the reasons. Like if you came to the roommate and said, you're so dirty and lazy, you never clean up the kitchen, you cooked chicken fried steak in there last Saturday, and the skillet that you used is still sitting in there 6 days later. You know what I just did? I had a major claim. You're so dirty and lazy. I gave a reason to believe the claim. You never clean up the kitchen. I gave evidence to support the reason. You cooked chicken fried steak almost a week ago and it's still in there. That's actually an argument. So we're going to make an argument in the body of our speech for each main point. Now, I have taken the information from my bakery speech and I have crafted an example of an argument for you. So let's say that my main point, my first main point is that I want to enlighten my audience about what goes into owning a bakery. And I say owning a bakery requires a lot more than just making pretty cakes. So that's my major claim. I need to give the audience a reason to believe that. Why would they believe that it's more than just making pretty cakes? So my reason is you actually have to offer a variety of products and services in order to maintain a steady stream of income. Okay, so that's my reason to believe the claim. Let's see if I have any evidence to support that. Okay, here the subpoint. So main point, primary subpoint, secondary subpoint. In my secondary subpoint, this is where I'm giving my evidence. Lisa Ferguson in the Baker's Guide to Opening a Successful Bakery indicates that many bakers find it necessary to offer catering services because business is slow in cooler months. So that's a piece of evidence from one of my sources that supports my claim that you have to do more than just make pretty cakes. This says you have to perhaps own a catering business or start catering as well. But, you know, I mean, is that enough to be convincing? I'm not sure. I'm going to add another piece of evidence. So this is a quotation. I should probably put quotation marks. And the quotation is, I needed to add new items and run promotions to keep walk-in business. All food businesses have to do it. Even if you open a cake shop, people will expect you to be a full-service bakery. And this goes on and on. And so this is a personal testimony from a former bakery owner, which means that there's quite a bit of credibility there. Now, if you're wondering, and I just want to show us, remember, this was my major claim. You have to do more than make pretty cakes. Why should you believe that claim? Because you have to add a variety of products to maintain income and evidence to support the reasons. Now, you'll notice that as I move over here, major claim, everything shifts to the right, okay? And the reason for that is when you're outlining, I'm going to be very particular about where your margins are as you're working. Everything that's on the left margin of your paper, that's over here on the left-hand side, is absolutely essential for you to say in the speech. As we move further toward the right, things get more specific, but also slightly less essential. So if I said, you have to do more than make pretty cakes, you have to offer a variety of products, you have to maybe start catering services, but I forget this testimonial, it's not going to make or break my speech. So I didn't mean to hit that button, by the way, so let's go back to my major claim. But this is an example of an argument that you can use to guide how you structure your argument. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to exit out of this, is, come on, I'm going to say this quotation is too long. You are not going to read this entire quotation during your speech. So what you would need to do is paraphrase this quotation so that you give the intent and content of it without actually having to say all of those words. All right, so we have an example of an argument for your main points. Each main point must consist of a major claim, reasons to believe the claim, and evidence to support the reasons. When we come back, we'll finish up refining our main points, we'll add transitions, and then we will move on to introductions and conclusions.